All right, so on the eve of the CNN presidential debate, how can Biden allies with a straight face actually say Mr. Trump created more debt than Mr. Biden? So let's talk about this. Joining us, Russ Vought, former OMB Director, Kevin Brady, former chair of the House Ways and Means Committee. Gentlemen, welcome. Russ Vought, I bet you didn't know this. Donald Trump's the guy who was the big spender, and he was the guy who created all that debt. I'm reading that from Maya McGinnis's group. I'm not sure how they get to what they get. And I've seen other people say that as well, try to make the case. But I looked at the CBO baseline numbers that came out last week. It seemed like the debt under Mr. Biden's gone up from whatever, 26 trillion to 50.7 trillion over the next 10 years. So straighten me out here. Really? Trump was the culprit?
No, he wasn't. And unfortunately, I like what Maya's group does, but they often just take the static score for a number of these things, including the tax cuts, and don't impact the revenues that have come out of that. And, they don't control for COVID when it comes to the reality of what we were facing at the end of the administration. But the sheer reality of it is that we're looking between $7 and $10 trillion in debt and deficits that the Biden administration has put on this country and saddled taxpayers with. And that is not comparable to what the President Trump left office with. And just to give you a real small snapshot, when we left office, $350 billion in interest payments per year. That has ballooned to $1 trillion per year as we close this year. And so you see that in the numbers, and you see it in the pocketbook with regard to inflation under one administration and something we did not face under the previous one.
Yeah, Kevin, it's just interesting to me. I agree with Russ. I mean, Maya McGinnis's group, they do some good things on spending. They're not supply-siders on taxes. But they're scoring Trump with stuff that was bipartisan, or what I would call Nancy Pelosi stuff. Budget acts of 2018 and 2019, they say it's bipartisan, but they score it under Trump. I mean, he's not going to veto it if it's bipartisan. And I don't know, if we had it to do over again, Kevin, the CARES Act during COVID, I don't see how we could have not acted. You can debate the second one, the $983 billion, which had a lot to do with the wishes of Nancy Pelosi. But I'm just saying, I think all this scoring stuff is extremely unfair. I don't know whether you've seen it, Kevin, or whether you care about it, but it just seems very unfair to me.
Yeah, I have seen it. It is cherry-picked in a big way. And the point you make is what I was planning to, which is much of President Trump's spending did occur driven by the COVID spending to try to keep people in their jobs and businesses open versus what we've seen under President Biden, which, big stimulus payments, paying people not to work, locking down these local economies and businesses. And then much of that debt that he's accumulating are his own executive actions, such as forgiveness of student loans. So I think there's a big difference. But I do know this. I think we all agree the debt we have right now is unsustainable. You can never tax enough to get out of debt because Washington will always spend more than is coming in. And really, at the end of the day, you've got to have growth in the economy, such as we saw under President Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, that drove federal revenue in a really strong, positive way. And you need to right-size the government and have real firm spending guardrails around future Congresses. It's tough to do, but there's no shortcut. You have to have growth. You've got to have spending constraint and guardrails.
I mean, Russ Vought, we've talked a lot on this show in the last week or so when this CBO baseline came out. And I think federal finances, they're in a shambles. I think there's no two ways about that. And it's not sustainable, and it's got to be fixed. Now, the question is, and you and I have talked about this, but it's worth a review. You got this CNN debate coming up on Thursday. It's probably going to come up again. You can raise taxes, which is what Mr. Biden is proposing, and lots of it. The Wall Street Journal called it tax Armageddon, Armageddon rather. You can raise taxes, or you can restrain spending, keep your tax rates low, and go for growth. I mean, the question is, Russ, is number two viable? Can you restrain spending, keep the tax rates low, and go for growth at the same time as you restrain spending?
I believe it is possible, and I think that President Trump has the only viable strategy to deal with the fiscal wreckage that the Biden administration has given us, and that is to extend the tax cuts, have deregulatory policies, open up energy exploration, have the economy explode, and restrain spending. And to restrain spending at the area that is easiest, because members have a vote on it every year, and the country hates it the most, which is the bureaucracy, and also to get rid of the welfare hammock that has kept people on the sidelines for far too long. You do both of those things, and now you're on a path to balance. And if you don't believe me, we put out budgets in every year but one under the Trump administration that got to balance with exactly that formula, and Congress refused to go along and pass those spending cuts. And so that it is certainly viable. And President Trump is doing one additional thing this time. He's running on the notion of impoundment, whereas the ability of a president not to spend money, and that is something that is an insurance policy against Congress being unwilling to go along with his future spending restraint.
You know, the Biden budgets do not, even on paper, do not get to balance. Not even on paper. I mean, you know, much less any legislative package. Kevin Brady, I just want to ask you one thing before I lose both of you. This is a hypothetical, Kevin, the hypothetical. But if you substituted a 10% tariff for the corporate tax, is that doable? Is that a border adjustment tax that we talked about back in 2016 or 2017? In other words, I just looked at the numbers. This is back of the envelope stuff. With about $4 trillion in imports, 10% of that, would be about $400 billion. Corporate tax revenues coming in a little more than $400 billion. But it's close. You could conceivably put a tariff in and take the whole corporate tax out. And I add, when you take the corporate tax out, corporations don't pay taxes, people do. You'd be providing a tremendous tax cut. What do you think, Kevin Brady? Is that remotely doable or a non-starter?
You know, I think the numbers look like it's comparable, but I think the policies are much different. And I know as we proposed this border adjustment tax, we were trying to level the playing field between U.S. manufacturers and businesses and foreign competitors as well. So it was done in a way that I thought drove growth and investment and made us super competitive in the U.S. Tariffs have a much different impact. I think they're as distortive as taxes. I worry about the exceptions and sort of the under the radar role it plays. They're not visible. That always scares me when taxes look stealthy and aren't known by consumers. Government likes to drive those up. So I think there's some of those red flags, I think, from a policy standpoint and an economic standpoint.
All right. I just want to throw it out there. We don't have time to pursue it in any great detail.
Yeah.
But I know the subject pops up from time to time. I call it musings, that's all. Kevin Brady, thank you for your musings, sir, as always.